Hi, everybody. Let's go ahead and do Algebra 1, I.3. So we'll go down to 7th grade, 8th grade, and then Algebra 1, I.3. GHI3. There it is. Simplify variable expressions involving like terms and the distributive property. All right. So for this problem, we have 8d plus negative 5d plus negative 1. So I'm going to rewrite plus negative as minus, and again, plus negative as minus. So I have 8d minus 5d minus 1. This term has a d, this term has a d, so we can combine these terms. 8d minus 5d would be 3d, and then minus 1. Okay, so that's our answer. That one wasn't too tough. All righty. Negative 10v plus negative 1 plus negative 6. So plus negative becomes minus. Again, plus negative becomes minus. So I have negative 10v minus 1 minus 6. So now this has a v. Neither one of these do. So I can combine these terms, but not with this one. So this one is just going to stay the same. Then I have negative 1 minus 6. So let's think about a number line. If I start at negative 1 on the number line, and then I subtract 6, which means I go to the left 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to end up at negative 7. Okay, or another rule that I like to say is if these symbols are the same, then we would add the numbers up and then just keep the symbol. So I would keep the negative there. All right, so that's going to be minus 7 over here. So my answer here is negative 10v minus 7. You could also write negative 7 minus 10v. That would also work. All right. Okay, this one we have all r's. Everything here is an r. So this one's pretty easy. I have 8r minus 8r would be 0r, or just 0. And then plus 5r. So now I have 5r. And so I have 8 minus 8 is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. And then 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, so I'm going to get 12r. All of those got combined because all of them have r's in them. Remember, you can only add or subtract terms if they have the same variables raised to the same exponents. Now over here we have a distribution problem, so we're going to do 3 times 8, which is 24, and 3 times, so this is positive here, so 3 times positive 5x is going to give us positive 15x. And we cannot combine these because this has an x and this one does not. So we're going to leave it like that, 24 plus 15x. Right now, again, we're going to distribute 6. So positive times negative is negative. So negative 12r, positive times, well, this I can change to a minus. And I can think of that like a negative. So positive times negative is negative again. And then this is going to give me 6 times 2 is 12. And then I have this plus 2r over here. Okay, and so now I can combine this with this because both of these have r's in them. And now I just have to think, what is negative 12 plus 2? Again, if you think of a number line, if you start at negative 12, and then add 2, that means you're going to go to the right 2 spaces, 1, 2, you would end up at negative 10. Okay, so this is going to give us negative 10r and then minus 12. All right, or another thing that I like to say is if these symbols are different, then we would subtract and we would take the symbol in front of the larger number. So 12 is bigger than 2. 12 had the negative in front of it. So my answer would actually be negative 10, which is the same thing that we got by looking at the number line. All right, and just just a reminder, if you go to the Google Classroom and you look over here, oops, I'm in 8th grade. Go to the Google Classroom, go to the reference pages here. You can see that negatives is on page 5. Okay, so there's a little bit of a review of using a number line and rewriting. If you see minus negative, that becomes plus. If you see plus negative, that becomes minus. And after you rewrite, okay, after doing the rewriting, then same symbols, add and keep the symbol. We talked about that already. Different symbols, subtract and take the symbol in front of the larger number, meaning the number with the greater absolute value. And then multiplying and dividing is just two negatives make a positive, and a positive and a negative makes a negative. Okay, so those are the rules that you need to understand in order to work with negative numbers. So just a little bit of a review there. Now let's go back to IXL here. Didn't I do this one? I'm forgetting. Oh, I remember now. It was negative, what was it? Negative 10R, right? Yeah, negative 10R, and then minus 12. All right, so over here, we're going to distribute this. Well, first I'm going to rewrite that as minus. Okay, so I have negative 2. That's going to stay the same. That's not in the parentheses. It's not getting multiplied with anything. So here I have positive 2 times negative 9h is got positive times negative. So now I'm using the multiplying dividing rules. If I have a positive, if I'm multiplying or dividing and I have one positive and one negative, then the result is negative. Okay, so positive times negative is negative. And so over here, we're just going to write that as minus, and then 2 times 9 is 18, and we also have the h over there. Okay, and then we have positive 2 times, we're going to look at this like negative 1. Okay, so positive 2 times negative 1 is going to give us negative 2. So we'll write minus 2 over there. I cannot combine the h with anything. I don't have any other h terms, but what I can combine is this one with this one. So negative 2 minus 2. If I think of a number line, if I start at negative 2, then I go minus 2, so I go to the left 2 spaces, I'm going to end up at negative 4. Okay, or I can remember the rule over here. If we have the same symbols, so if they're both minus, if minus and negative, then we add and keep the symbol. Okay, so that's really another way that we could have done this over here. If I have these symbols are the same, then what we can do is we can add and keep the symbol. Okay, so keep that negative there. So we get negative 4, which is the same thing that we got by thinking of the number line, and then minus 18h. That one can't get combined with anything. All right, so that's our answer for that one. Negative 4 minus 18h. Okay, so now we have some exponents over here. So it's not too hard actually. So again, it's just positive. Everything is actually positive here. I don't see any minus signs. I don't see any negatives. So this, by the way, which is not getting multiplied with anything here, that is just going to stay the same. So let's just write that first. 8r to the second power, or 8r squared. And then we have this 8 times 2. So that's going to give us, everything is positive here. So plus 16 r to the second power. Okay, we'll just keep that r to the second power there. And now 8 times 2r is going to give us 16r. So we'll write plus 16r here. Nothing is negative in this one. All right, and now what terms can we combine here? We can combine this term with this term because they both have r to the second power. Okay, this one has an r, but not to the second power, so we cannot combine it with these. And the rest of this is pretty easy. Everything is positive. So 8 plus 16 is 24. So I'm going to get 24r to the second power, and this just stays the same. So plus 16r. All right. 24r to the, click on this button to put the exponent in. And then then just click again so that now we can write the plus and then 16R. Okay. Nothing to distribute here. I don't see any parentheses here. There's nothing for me to multiply, nothing to distribute. So what I have to do is I have to think of which terms can I combine. So what has the same variables and the same exponents? This and this both have x to the second power. All right, so now I have positive 4 plus 7 is just 11. 4 plus 7 is 11. So I have 11, and then we'll just keep that x to the second power there. And then everything else, all of these terms all do not have any variables, so we can combine these also. Don't forget to pay close attention to those symbols there. We have a plus 10, and then we have a minus 8. So we have 7 plus 10 is 17, and then 17 minus 8 is 9. Positive 9, so we'll put plus 9 here. Different color, but that's okay. So I have 11x to the second power plus 9. 11x, and then I'm going to click on this button, this power of 2, and then I click again, and then I can put plus 9. You could also write 9 plus 11x squared. That would also work. All right, let's do this one. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times, so this is a positive, right? That's plus. So it's pretty easy. So 9 times 5 is 45. So we'll write plus 45, and then we'll just tack on the v to the second power. And then this should not get multiplied with the 9 because this stuff is outside of the parentheses. Okay, so we're just going to copy this exactly the way it was. And now what can we combine here? This has v's to the second power. This has v to the second power. Okay, so that's going to give me 45 minus 10 is 35. So I have 35v to the second power. And then 36 plus 1. Both of these terms do not have a variable. 36 plus 1 is 37. So, and that's positive 37, so plus 37. I did it in a different color again. But again, that's okay. 35. V, click this button, type in a 2, then click again inside the box, plus 37. All right, so over here, I'm just going to write all that out here. So 10m to the second power plus negative 7m to the second power minus 10m to the second power plus 7m to the second power minus m to the second power. Okay. Now I'm going to pause here for a second. All right, so continuing, I'm using now, we can use the rewriting rules. If you see plus negative, that becomes minus. So over here, I see here's plus negative. I actually have not had any examples where they gave me minus negative. That would become plus. So just so you know, if you see a minus negative, that would become plus. Okay, that's the only one that I have to rewrite. Okay, and everything here is m to the second power. So here's something important. If you do not see a coefficient in front of the variable, then it is 1. So we can, this one over here, we can just draw a 1 in there. And then let's see, 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 minus 10, now careful, 10 minus 3 would be 7, but 3 minus 10 would be negative 7. So over here, let's just see what I have so far. So I combined this and this. Really, I could combine all of them. But so far, I just combined these three, and I got negative 7 m to the second power. Then I have plus 7 m to the second power, and then minus 1 m to the second power. So really, all of these can get combined because they all have m to the second power. So let's just combine the rest of them now. Negative 7 plus 7 is going to give me 0, right? If I, on a number line, if I start at negative 7 And then since I'm adding, I move to the right 7 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would end up at 0. So that's going to give me 0, or 0m to the second power, if you like. And then minus 1, so 0 minus 1 is negative 1. If I start at 0, and then minus 1 means I move to the left 1 space, I would end up at negative 1. So this is going to give me negative 1 m to the second power, which we can also simply write as negative, is it not letting me type? Negative m to the second power. If the coefficient is just 1, then you don't really have to write it. All right, so again, there's nothing to distribute here. All of these can get combined. Let's just jump ahead to the next level, see if we get anything different. Okay, so these are both like terms as well. They both have x and they both have y to the second power. Just a reminder here, if you do not see a coefficient, then it is 1. So this is 5xy squared minus 1xy squared, and that would be 4xy squared. I know that, excuse me, a lot of students are going to make the mistake of just adding everything. They'll see 5, excuse me, oh my goodness. They'll see 5 and 1 and say, oh, 5 plus 1 is 6. Yeah, but you're not supposed to be adding. You're supposed to be subtracting. There's a subtraction symbol there. Okay? All right, so let's just move on. This one, okay, so this is going to be 3c to the second power. Isn't going to be anything interesting here? Not really. This would just be squeeze a 1 in there. So all of these terms are like terms. They all wx to the second power. So 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. So we could put 0. We could put 0wx to the second power. But if it's just 0, then you don't have to really write the variables. Why not? Because the variables are really just stand for numbers, right? And 0 times anything is 0. So the 0 sort of eliminates all the other variables. So we can just write a 0 in there. If it were anything else, like a 1 or negative 1 or 3 or negative 12, whatever it was, then we would actually have to write the variables, but not for 0. Okay, so it's not giving me anything tricky here. G to the second power, H to the third power, both of these terms have it. So we can just go ahead and do 10 minus 7, which is 3. And then just put in the G to the second power, click again, and then H to the, click on that for the third power. Right over here, this has T to the second power, this does not. So we cannot combine these terms. Combine just means add or subtract them. We can't do that over here. So we're just going to have to leave it the way it is. So 9t to the second power, click again, plus 9. Okay, so this one, good. So we have, all of these terms have r in them. However, these terms also have q to the third, whereas this term does not. So we can combine these terms and look at the symbols here. Everything is plus here, so that makes it easy. We're just going to add everything up. But you do have to pay close attention to those symbols. Don't assume that every single time you can just add everything. In this one I can, but not in the others. All right, but I cannot combine this with all of these. So let's see. The 30r is just going to stay 30r. R. Okay, and then I have 45 plus 31 would be 76, and 76 plus 30 would be 106. And so that would be plus 106 q to the third r. Okay, I'm in the challenge zone. All right. I was hoping it would give me some more distribution. These look pretty simple, so I can combine the t terms, and everything is positive. Everything is plus. So again, it's giving me an easy one, but you do have to check to make sure if everything is plus. A lot of times it's not. You have to see if it's plus or minus. You have to decide what to do. All right, so 47t plus 13t is going to give me 60t. and then plus 8s to the third power. Is it going to give me any distribution again? I don't think so. I'm going to do this one, and if the next one is similar, then I'm just going to end the video there. So here, everything is r to the second power, s to the second power. So I can combine all of these terms because they all have the same variables raised to the same exponents. And then we just have to think 35 minus 4 is 31. And then 31 minus 22 would be 9, right? 9, r to the second power, click again, s to the, click this thing, second power. Okay. All right. All right, so I'll do this one just because it's just to show you all of these have b, except this is b to the third power. These are just b's over here. So we can combine these, but not the other one. And so this term I just have to keep the same, 22b to the third power, click again, plus, let's see, everything is positive here, so that makes it easy. 10 plus 6 is 16, so I'll get plus 16b. And, okay. All right, I'm not going to bother doing this one. I'll just show you that this is st to the second power. So this can get combined with this and also with this one, because they all have s and then t to the second power. This one has s to the third power, t to the third power. So this one would stay the same. These we can combine, but I think I've already done a whole bunch of examples. Hopefully that's enough to go on. Please remember to check out the reference pages if you're a little bit iffy on the rules for working with negative numbers. And so that's it. I hope that was helpful, and have a great day.